Well, I'll give you one with my dad. My dad was a police officer, actually still is. He's retired a couple of times, but he always goes back and works some more. And he worked in a town in Texas just outside Dallas, and on Christmas morning, 1972, he was at work. My mother and I was at home. He was working that night. Some men in a van were in a bar in Dallas. They made a statement, "We're going to go kill ourselves a cop." They went, got in their van, drove down the freeway where my dad was working, real slow with their blinkers on, right? Well, how many of you know that will draw a policeman's attention? And so when my dad pulled them over, my dad walked up to the driver's side. The driver got out of the car, and you know how a truck driver, when he's been driving a long time, he'll get out and he'll do like that, and kind of pop his back. And my dad walked up, and when he said, have you got problems? And this guy said, "No, but you do," and pulled a gun and stuck it right in my dad's stomach and started trying to fire. My dad pushed it down, and the gun went off, but because of how my dad had it, the bullet went through the hand, out through the finger, but where he was holding it, it jammed the next bullet, so he couldn't fire again. Well, at that time, another guy got out of the back of the car, back of the van, come up behind my dad and started trying to stab him with a knife and cut his uniform shirt and his T-shirt, but never cut the skin, right? Then my dad, having been shot, started moving back toward the police car, drew his revolver and started firing, hit the one guy going in the back of the car, the other guy, or the back of the van, the other guy got in the front. They drove off. My dad was bleeding, started going into shock, laid down beside the police car, and a highway patrol officer walked up and told him, "Johnny, you've got to call in your position." And so my dad reached in, grabbed the radio, called in his position. When the other officers got there, they said, "What happened? Tell us what's going on." My dad said, "Ask the DPS, the Department of Public Safety. Ask him what was going on." And they said, "There's nobody here." Well, at that time, they did a check. And that morning, there had been no policeman, no DPS in that area. And so the reason God put an angel in a uniform was because he knew my dad and knew that that's the only type of person that my dad would listen to without reacting to them adversely. And so God put an angel in a uniform, told him to call into position, because if he was a real policeman, he would have called it in himself.